So good morning everyone. Welcome back to Raj Malhotra IAS YouTube channel, the Hindu analysis of the day. Uh, Students, please confirm if I'm audible and the screen is properly visible. Please confirm if I'm audible and the screen is visible. Okay, thanks for the confirmation. A very good morning, everyone. Let's start our day with the Hindu analysis, which is very important for our examination circle. So let's get started. The first news of the day is the first headline in the news article, that is priest can certify that CAA eligibilities, says the government helpline. First of all, we need to understand what CAA is. Let us understand what CAA stands for. CAA stands for, can anyone of you tell me in the comment section that what CAA is? It stands for Citizenship Amendment Act. It is a Citizenship Amendment Act which was brought in by the government in the year 2019. The aim of this, or the purpose of this Citizenship Amendment Act, is by its name that it tells us the rules and procedures to acquire the Indian citizenship. It tells us the rules and the procedure to acquire the Indian citizenship, but to certain communities, to certain religious communities coming from 3 countries, and these are the migrants only who can apply for acquiring the Indian citizenship, belonging to 6 major religious communities as recognized by Indian government and coming from 3 countries. These 3 countries are Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan. 3 countries, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Afghanistan, 6 religious communities which are Sikh, Hindu, Buddhist, Jain and then Christians. These 6 communities, again, one is Parsi. These 6 communities, the migrants belonging to 6 communities and these 3 countries can apply to acquire the Indian citizenship. And the article tells us that we have to have a certificate, eligibility certificate for applying, eligibility certificate for applying for the Indian citizenship from the Indian government, so that it validate their claim of belonging from 3 countries and from 6 religious communities as recognized under CAA Act, Citizenship Amendment Act. Now, this article tells about that CAA in its official notification did not recognize and did not clarify what authorities and which authorities will be giving these eligibility, will be issuing these eligibility certificates, but in the government helpline tells us that local priests or local authorities can issue these certificates and local reputed religious institutions can issue these eligibility certificate, on the basis of which people or the migrants from 6 different communities and 3 countries can apply for the Indian citizenship. This is the article which talks about this, and government is doing it mandatory to submit this eligibility certificate which validates the religion of an applicant under CAA. If you have any doubt, you can tell me. Let's stick to the topic, students. Okay. Let's move on to the next topic of the day. Let's move on to the next topic of the day. Okay. This is somewhat political in nature, but let us look at from our awareness point of view that India strongly objects to US remarks on Kejriwal's arrest. As we all know, the CM of Delhi has been arrested by the authorities. On this incident, US authorities have given some of the statements. We encourage a fair, transparent and timely legal process for Kejriwal. This has been given by US authorities. And in return, India तो चुप बैठेगी नहीं for sure. तो इंडिया के मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स की तरफ से एक स्टेटमेंट आता है that in diplomacy states are expected to be respectful of sovereignty and internal affair of others, which is very correctly put and diplomatically very correctly played. Therefore, this is important for your awareness from our perspective that any other country cannot intervene in the internal affairs and sovereignty matter of any other country, which is important point to note. Okay, next, moving on to the next article of the day is these are some state related news which are not that relevant for exam purpose. So moving on to the next pages. Okay, this article, joblessness is defining issue of Lok Sabha election, says Congress. Again, we have already discussed about unemployment in yesterday's newspaper, and this is the issue which Congress is taking up for Lok Sabha elections again. This is political, the explanation is political, so moving on to the next topic. Okay, this is an important news to cover, and this can directly be asked in the prelims. Very relevant for prelims exam. You must have heard about this, that India achieves 16% decline in new TB cases since 2015. National TB elimination scheme, you must have heard about, that government is dedicatedly talking about and doing the efforts in eliminating the TB cases from India. And we have seen a progress in it. The government has done his efforts and have achieved something, that in new TB cases we have seen a decline of 16%. We have seen a decline of 16%. What was the elimination mission that talks about? National TB Elimination Program, National Tuberculosis Elimination Program. What is the target here given by the government? Any one of you please write out in the comment section. What is the target given by the government under National TB Elimination Program? By what year that government aims to eliminate this TB? Under this program, government aims to accelerate tuberculosis elimination from the country. Tuberculosis elimination from the country under National Strategic Plan 2017 to 2025. Under National Strategic Plan from 2017 to 2025. Under this plan, government has launched National TB Elimination Program, which aims at accelerating TB elimination from the country. And under this program, government has provided free diagnosis of TB, free diagnosis services of TB to all the people, so that TB can be diagnosed in excess numbers, and when TB is diagnosed, then only it can be treated, and then only it can be eliminated. When the term comes of the treatment, government also provides some monetary incentive to the people. Government also provides some of the monetary incentive to the people, so that they continue the treatment of TB for at least 1 year, and hence they can be fully treated, and hence the TB can be eliminated from the country. This incentive, because of this diagnosis, free diagnosis services, and because of this mission, government has achieved 16% decline in new TB cases which are emerging. This has declined by 16%. This is the topic, and this is very, very, very important. Please listen to it carefully. Okay, I will take all of your questions in end of the session. Okay, let's moving on to the next topic of the day. This article is also important. ICMR set to bring in evidence-based norms for lung cancer management. But this is on R&D stage. That means research and development for the treatment of lung cancer is going on, and the only thing they are focusing on right now, that they will follow an evidence-based approach or evidence-based norms in the lung cancer treatment or lung cancer R&D. This is the article which talks about R&D of the lung cancer. Okay, let's move on to the next article of the day. This news is important. Please read out the news that it talks about. Is Australia's carbon credit scheme a catastrophic? Here, this news, from how many points this news is important? Can any one of you tell me that कहाँ कहाँ पे इस न्यूज को आप यूज कर सकते हो? कहाँ कहाँ पे इस न्यूज को हम यूज कर सकते हैं? This word carbon credit scheme, this is related with environment, and this can be asked in prelims, right? After that, this Australian carbon credit scheme, we can be using it as an example in GS3 in environment section, right? In environment section we can use it in the as a form of example, and which will fetch you very, very good marks in the mains exam. Okay, this article talks about the examination of carbon credit scheme, which is implementing or which is doing in the Australia, and is it catastrophic, or is it doing well, or is it doing average? We have to examine through this article. Now let us understand what carbon credit is. What carbon credit is? What carbon credit is? What is carbon credit? Now, what is carbon credit? This focuses on reducing the emission of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases. इतना तो सबको मालूम होगा. Carbon credit, this scheme focuses on reducing the emission of carbon dioxide and greenhouse gases, and this is a tradable A tradable certificate, carbon credit is a tradable certificate which can be possessed by the country or the individual or the entity or the institution which does the less emission, and it can trade to other entity which are doing the high emissions. For example, just for the example in layman term, if Japan is doing the less emissions as a country, it is doing the less emission of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases, they can possess the carbon credit certificate and they can trade it to other country, for example India, if they wish to do the more emissions of carbon dioxide, right? Yes, Achal. So this article talks about, is Australia's carbon credit scheme a catastrophic? So Australia carbon credit scheme which is doing right now, but the why it is catastrophic, first of all the article says that it is catastrophic, but why these are catastrophic? Australian government has taken a huge land of forest and convert it into trees, but still they are not getting any result, and apart from that Australia is the biggest exporter of gas and thermal coal. Australia is the biggest importer of gas and thermal coal, and therefore it is not fetching result in the Australian carbon credit scheme, and its per capita emission is very, very high, highest in the world. Its carbon dioxide emission per person among the highest in the world, and that is why Australia's carbon credit scheme is a catastrophic. It is not fetching any result in the terms. Okay, let's move on to the next article. Next article of the day is, okay, the editorial page. This is very important. WTO's investment facilitation negotiations are not illegal. This is an old news. How many of you have read about this WTO investment facilitation negotiation and this round of Abu Dhabi? How many of you have heard about this ministerial conference of WTO which recently held from February and in February and March 2024? Note clearly. Okay. Some of you have read about it and some of you have never not. No issues in that. Let us discuss what this article says, that WTO's investment facilitation negotiations are not illegal. Let us deep dive into this article. Sabse pehle you must be knowing that there was 13th ministerial conference of WTO which was organized from February and March 2024. Abhi recently it was held. Kahan pe held hui thi? It was in Abu Dhabi, UAE, right? And the outcome of that 13th ministerial conference of WTO, what was the outcome of that? Disbanding or non-adoption of investment facilitation agreement, agreement on investment facilitation for development. Investment facilitation for development. This is the official name. And the short form is IFD. द ऑफिशियल नेम इज एग्रीमेंट ऑन, जैसे एग्रीमेंट ऑन एग्रीकल्चर है वैसे ही देयर इज अनदर एग्रीमेंट ऑन इन्वेस्टमेंट facilitation for development, we call it as IFT. But in 13th ministerial conference which held in Abu Dhabi of WTO, the outcome is that we did not adopt, we as WTO did not adopt and disbanded this agreement of investment facilitation for development, IFT. This agreement, ये है क्या चीज, हमें ये भी पता होना चाहिए. This agreement talks about, this agreement talks about to create a legally binding, to create a legally binding provisions to facilitate investment flows. Legally binding provisions to facilitate investment flows into the countries, in different countries, in member countries of WTO. Now the contradiction क्या है यहाँ पे? WTO is a body, what the aim of WTO is? Free and fair trade, right? We have free and fair trade, we must have heard about it. Free and fair trade in the world, to conduct the free and fair trade in the world is the main aim and the only aim of WTO. But the agreement, IFT agreement, talks about legally binding of the investment flows in the countries of member countries of WTO, which is a contradiction in itself and which is a point, which is a stand by the India. India का stand क्या है on this agreement? India क्या बोल रही है इस agreement पे? First point is India and South Africa. India and South Africa strongly condemn कर रहे हैं इसको and they are not allowing it to pass, and therefore the result is that in this Abu Dhabi conference वो pass नहीं हुआ है. India and South Africa has strongly condemned this and did not allow it to pass, right? Now India क्या बोल रहा है? India के दो major concern ये हैं. Twofold principal concerns जो होंगे, principal concerns of India is that twofold concern for India, जो India को concern कर रहा है that we should not allow it, but why we should not allow it? Whether the first point जो हमने अभी discuss किया, whether investment is a part of WTO or not. WTO का जो रोल है वो इन्वेस्टमेंट रिलेटेड है या ट्रेड रिलेटेड है? As we all know, traditionally it is trade related only. So why investment should be there in the agreement? Therefore India is denying it. And दूसरा जो है concern is the procedure followed for this agreement. This agreement is not valid. This is the argument given by India. This is the argument given by the India that this is the concern. Therefore, we should not allow it to pass. Right? And the other thing, the other concern which India called for, other concern is that it did not allow it to pass, to give the market access to different countries. हमें market access through investment facilitation for development agreement से हमें market access तो मिल ही नहीं रही है, and which is the principle of WTO, principal aim of WTO. Therefore, this agreement is not valid. This is the stand of India for this, from this article. Have you understood this article now? This is important article, you must be knowing it. Okay. Example related आप किस purpose से पूछ रहे हैं, please clearly mention करना. यहाँ तक कुछ भी doubt है, you can ask in the comment section. Okay, next article पे move करते हैं. This is also an important article, that preventing a China-Taiwan conflict, which is a बेसिक आर्टिकल जो हमेशा से चलता आया है, नथिंग करंट इन इट बट स्टिल रेलिवेंट फ्रॉम IR perspective. From IR perspective, investment related article example is that any country can help or invest in the infrastructure project here so that it facilitates the trade of the other country and for our country. That is the investment example. I hope you understand. For example, some of the countries have invested in some other countries for the port purposes, or maybe formation of establishment of some of the bridges in that country so that it can facilitate the trade of our country and the other country as well. Right. Chalo. Preventing a China-Taiwan conflict. This is nothing but just a static thing. Let us discuss it in from the IR perspective. China-Taiwan conflict which is going on right now from ever since we can say, ठीक है, चले जा रहा है, खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा है. चाइना क्या बोलता है? सबसे पहले शॉर्ट में अगर हम बात करें, चाइना क्या बोलता है? चाइना claims Taiwan as its territory. China claims Taiwan as its territory. But Taiwan क्या बोलता है? वो भी important है. What does Taiwan says? Taiwan consider itself as a self-governing territory. As self-governing territory. But not as an independent state, as a self-governing territory. This is the claim by Taiwan. But India क्या बोलता है? इंडिया का स्टैंड क्या है? आइदर इंडिया स्टैंड्स फॉर ताइवान और आइदर इंडिया स्टैंड्स फॉर चाइना. ठीक है, इंडिया स्टैंड्स फॉर चाइना और इंडिया स्टैंड्स फॉर ताइवान. बट इंडिया हमेशा से, वी ऑलरेडी नो दैट इंडिया प्लेज डिप्लोमेटिकली. इंडिया प्लेज डिप्लोमेटिकली. बट हाउ इंडिया प्लेज डिप्लोमेटिकली? इंडिया प्लेज डिप्लोमेटिकली बाय मेंटेनिंग अ स्टेटस क्वो. By maintaining a status quo. Why India does not take any stand anti-China, or why India maintain a status quo? What are the reasons? क्या reasons उसके हो सकते हैं? Any one of you can point out some of the reasons? Aanchal, Vaibhav, Ravina, any one of you can mention some of the reasons why India is not going anti-China or openly supported Taiwan and maintaining the status quo. Why India is doing so? One of the reason is an economic reason. Economy और पैसा सबसे बड़ी चीज होती है. Therefore, India has maintained, India-Taiwan relation has expanded. Economic relations, I would say, economic relation has expanded 7 times. 7 times from 2000 and from 2001. Since 2001, its economic relation with Taiwan has expanded and trade has gone up. And now India and Taiwan are in talks for the FTA, that is free trade agreement, which is beneficial for India and Taiwan as well. Therefore, India is maintaining a status quo. Therefore, India is maintaining a status quo. Right? For example of this, that economic trade, example of this is ताइवान का सेमीकंडक्टर कंट्री है कोई, ताइवान का सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कंट्री company is there, which is dealing with Tata Groups, and generating India's first semiconductor fabricant plant. They are establishing India's first semiconductor fabricant plant, which is a achievement in itself. India's first semiconductor fabricant plant, which is an achievement in itself, and therefore maintaining status quo is relevant at this point of time. Now, second point because of which India maintains a status quo is if in case Chinese aggression बढ़ जाए, तो Chinese aggression go up, तब क्या होगा? इंडिया इकोनॉमिकली तो चाइना पे भी डिपेंड करती है एंड ताइवान पे भी डिपेंड करती है, देयरफॉर इंडिया का इकोनॉमी इम्पैक्ट होगा, एंड विच इज अ कॉस्ट टू इंडिया in their economic growth, and therefore India is maintaining a status quo. And there is another thing here, that if Chinese aggression increased, then trade in Asia and specifically Southeast Asia, it will hamper, and therefore India is maintaining a status quo, right? What can be the solution? This is a proper article which can be framed in answer. I have explained it in this way only so that you can use this in your mains answer as well. Now, what can be the solution or conclusion of this? What India will do now? What India can do? India के पास options क्या क्या है? First of all, India is maintaining neutrality and not taking any stand, therefore maintaining a status quo. But if needed, what India will do? If needed, first of all, India will maintain its non-violent methods only and making sure India will use some of the international laws and regulations to maintain its relations. But if needed, they will take some military actions. This is China and Taiwan relationship. This is the article. You can go through it. After reading this, you will definitely understand the main points here, right? I hope you got this article as well. China and Taiwan conflict. If you have doubts, you can ask me. Okay. Next article of the day is very important article is this on sustainable building materials. Let us understand this way. That India has launched, the government of India has launched National Cooling Plan. India has launched National Cooling Action Plan. But why India has launched an cooling plan? Why? Because in coming years, let me put this as a way that suppose before 10 years ago, आप सबके घर में ACs थे क्या? It was not, right? सबके घर में कुछ लोगों के घर में एक AC होगा, ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2 AC हो जाएंगे. बट 5 ईयर पिछले 5 years में क्या हुआ कि जिनके घर में ACs नहीं थे उनके घर में भी ACs आ चुके हैं. बट आज के टाइम पे ऐसा क्या है कि हर घर में, हर रूम में अलग अलग AC है. दैट मीन्स इंडियाज रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर कूलिंग हैज इंक्रीज्ड. This is due to first of all economic growth has done. Economic growth बढ़ चुकी है. That means income of the people has increased, and there is another reason that climate change or the global warming has contributed in it. Global warming and climate change has contributed in it. And apart from that, you must have heard about a concept known as urbanization and urban heat island. That means India's demand for cooling and hence has increased, and therefore we need to do something in terms of infrastructure and construction of our buildings, so that if we use more and more AC, उसके बाद 5 साल बाद या 10 साल बाद हमारे क्लाइमेट का क्या हाल होगा? You already know that it will not be sustainable, and hence we are doing the research and development that which materials we can use in the construction of the building, so that our buildings remain sustainable and environment friendly, and our lives become easy to go. Right. Now, what are the materials that we can be used? We can use, what are the materials that we can use in the energy efficient construction sector? Can anyone of you tell me? Many of the questions have already been in the prelims paper. Many of the questions have been in the prelims paper for this building construction. Okay, let me put it that way, that there is an initiative, known as Eco Niwas Samhita. Eco Niwas Samhita. Eco Niwas Samhita. They are doing the works for the environment friendly or sustainably construction building. Right. Eco Niwas Samhita, they are using an approach known as residential envelope transmittance value. Residential envelope transmission value. They are using a concept known as RETV, under which RETV is a concept under which we measure the value कि कितना कूलिंग चाहिए है और कितना उससे नुकसान हो रहा है, that it leads to cooler, and if the value is lower, RETV is lower, then it leads to a lower or the cooler environment in our houses or indoor cooler environment, and therefore they are using this concept and asking the government to use it in the on a large scale. This is the initiative we can use, and this RETV can be asked in the exam as well, this year exam as well. What other optimal materials we can use? Optimal materials we can use. Fly ash का नाम सुना है? This has been asked by the government. Apart from that, red bricks we use traditionally. And what others? There is another technical term known as monolithic concrete. Monolithic concrete क्या होता है? That taking it from a single stone or single patthar, right? This is it for this article, and this was last article of the day, right? And if you have doubts, you can ask me. Okay, let's end this session now, and we'll meet you tomorrow 9 a.m. I hope I have contributed positively in your preparation. Let's call it a day. Thank you.